Hi, I'm George Pearson, and in this Photoshop how to make a logo video, we'll be doing this circular F logo. Now if you enjoy this video, make sure that you subscribe to my channel and also click the like button. If you want to learn more about Photoshop, take a look at the links in my description for my complete Photoshop training titles. Okay, let's get to it. We'll be doing this basic Photoshop logo design here using a circular format, standard circular logo, and I just stuck some additional words on here to kind of complete this thing out. Now the formid.com, that's just form ID, and that goes back to my days programming HTML languages and forms way back when. But there we go. Fairly straightforward, fairly easy to do. A few clever little things in here possibly. We'll see how it goes. Okay, we'll start off by getting rid of this and starting with a brand new file. So new file, and I'll be using the default Photoshop size right there, which is 7 wide by 5 tall. It's a horizontal or landscape format, and I'm using a resolution of 300, which is just fine if you're doing images for the internet. Now if you are doing this for print work, you probably want to go a lot higher on your resolution. Okay, click on create. There it is. Let's just zoom in a little bit here. I'll do a fit screen on that. There we go, nice and large. Let's put in some guidelines. Now we have 5 by 7. Keep that in mind. So view, new guide. Let's do a horizontal guide. That's going to be a guide going this way. I want it right in the middle. Since it's 5 tall, the middle is going to be 2.5 inches. There we are. Let's do a vertical guide now in the center. View, new guide. Vertical guide, now it's 7, so it's 3.5 is halfway. There's our center point. I now want to have one that's 2 inches up from this, which is 0.5 inches at the top, so it's a horizontal at 0.5. So view, new guide, horizontal, and then 0.5 or a half inch. There we go. Now if your Photoshop looks a little different than any of this stuff in here, I'm currently working in Photoshop CC 2017. There are a few more options down in here, for instance, on this new version. But nothing I'm doing here requires Photoshop CC 2017. This all can be done in earlier versions of Photoshop just as easily. All right, let's put our circle on here. Grab the elliptical tool here, the ellipse tool. Go up to our options for this and set this at circle and from center right there. And then come down to the center in here. Click on the center point. This is why those guidelines are there. Click and drag this out. There we go. Until it just goes up and snaps to that top guideline. That's going to be right at a 4-inch circle. Now if yours doesn't snap to the top guideline, go up to view and make sure that snap is selected right there. Okay, there we are. That's fine. Close that down. There's our basic shape. We now can get rid of these guidelines. We don't need those any longer. I'll just hide the extras. There we go. And we'll keep this one here. Everything is going to be built from this. We'll actually be using this just a couple of times in the training. First time is right now. Let's take this and drag it down to the new layer button right there. Make a copy of that. You can now hide the original ellipse. And on the copy, right click and rasterize that layer. Let's now fill this. Over here, change our fill color, and we'll put in a light blue. The one I used, if you look down here at the hexadecimal numbers right down there, one I used was 41A8F7. Right there, kind of middle of the light blues and not full saturation, just kind of up in here someplace. Doesn't need to be exact, but around here is good. Choose OK. Let's now fill that, so it's a paint bucket. Click inside. There's our nice light blue circle. Alright, let's reset our colors to their defaults, which should be black in front. And we're going to be putting a big F on top of this. So go over here to your text tool right there. And I have this set, it's real large, 395 point. Just click in the middle here someplace and then type in a capital F. Now the type I used was Arial Black. It's just a real big solid typeface. Now at this size, if I move this around, you'll find that this corner will align with the bottom and this will align with that circle over here on the right hand side. So just kind of move it over to that position until you get right to that alignment. I'm going to use the arrow keys here, the cursor keys, just to kind of tap this into place and make sure I'm exactly on line. So there we are, just touching the circle here and just touching the circle right down there. Okay, there's our basic F shape. Now come down to the ellipse and drag this down to the new layer button again. There we go. Makes a copy of that. Hold the control key down and click where it says T right here, and that selects that type layer. There's our selection. We can now hide that layer. Make sure you're on the top ellipse layer here, and then just hit the delete key. Now you can't see anything because this is in the way. I'm just going to hide that. There we go. And as a deselect, so select and deselect. So there's our F. Now all you want is just this piece right here. So I'll grab the lasso tool. I'm just going to come right around this, hit the delete key and get rid of that, and then come right around that one, hit the delete key and get rid of that one as well. There we go. So that's all you need, is just that one piece. We can now put our patterning into this, and that's the little FX button right there, and we're doing a pattern overlay. Here we go. And if you don't see this section here, I'm just using patterns. It's right there, patterns. There it is. And second row right there is that grid looking thing. That's the one you want. All of these settings I've left at their default settings. Choose OK. That just fills that with that nice little grid pattern. Notice that this is on top, so we still have the basic shape in below. Okay, now take this layer. We can just hide those effects. There we go. Take this layer, pull it underneath the blue ellipse. You can now show that blue ellipse once again. We're still on this layer down here. Hold the control key down, command on a Macintosh, click on the icon, and that selects that shape right there. Let's go up here to our top ellipse, hit the delete key, and that just cuts that out. Okay, let's go ahead and deselect. There we go. There's the two basic parts of the logo. Let's now do our effects up here on our top one. The first effect I want to do is a gradient overlay. So I'll come down here to the FX button and gradient overlay right there. There we go. Now the one I'm using, as you can see here, it's a standard gradient. Black to white is foreground to background. And there we go. Make sure it's black to white. If it's white to black, just click on reverse to change that so it's black to white. I'm using the reflected style. You have a bunch of options in here. I'm using reflected. All the rest of these settings are at their defaults, but it's angle of 120, scale of 78%, and opacity 100%. And then I have my blend mode up here set to subtract right there. And what that does is it gives us that real nice kind of interesting coloration in there. Okay, so that's our gradient overlay. Let's now add in a drop shadow as well. Just a little one there, a little edge. You can kind of see it right along here, just a little subtle drop shadow. Now what I have is a distance of 15 pixels, size of 5 pixels. I haven't changed the contour. My angle is 90 degrees, just straight up. That's my global light right there. And opacity is 60%, and the blend mode is multiply. Okay, final one here is the bevel and emboss. You can see that right in there. Now I have a few little setting adjustments on this to get this exactly right. It's an inner bevel, and it's set to chisel hard, which is right in the middle right there. The depth is set at 43%. Direction is up. Size of that is 18 pixels. And then get the nice lighting effect in here on the edge of this bevel. We'll do a few little adjustments down here under shading. I have the angle set way down here, and I'm not using the global light, so make sure that you uncheck global light, just like that. My angle is at -36, and my altitude is at 16 degrees. -36 degrees and 16 degrees altitude. I'm using the default gloss contour. I've changed the highlight mode here to linear dodge add. I'm still using black and white on those. I set the opacity to 100% for the highlight mode, and on the shadow mode I'm using multiply, black, and opacity of 100%. So a few little changes in here on the settings to give us that nice kind of look. What this is really doing with these changes is giving us this kind of highlight underneath in here. So the light's down from this side shining up, that's that part of it, and then brightening this up and darkening down those edges, that's the bottom adjustments down there. Okay, so there's the layer styles for that layer. Choose OK. All set to go. Okay, now let's do our little thin outline in here. We have our original ellipse. Hold the Control key down, click on the icon for that, and that selects that ellipse. Notice that it doesn't have to be showing to make that selection. It will select even if it's hidden. Okay, we're still on the ellipse copy up here. Go up now to select and modify and contract, and set the contraction here at 50 pixels and choose OK. That just makes it smaller like that. We'll now do another select up here, another modification, and that's border. What this does is it creates a border on the two sides of your selection and gives you kind of a thin double line in there. And I have this set at 15 pixels. Choose OK, and there's that double line. Okay, we're still over here on the ellipse copy. Just hit the delete key, and that cuts that piece out, and then we can go ahead and deselect. There we go, nice little cutout on that. Okay, now let's put in our little @ symbol down here. I'll go back up here to the top layer, which is our F layer right now. Let's go back to the text tool, change the point size to 82 points, and click in here someplace, and then hit the @ key, which is a shift 2, and let's take that and just position that right down here somewhere. Should just kind of snap into that position. Go up to this T for the @ symbol, hold down the Control key, click on the T, that selects it. We can now hide that, come down to our ellipse layer here, hit the delete key, and that cuts that out, and then deselect. Takes care of that bit. Okay, all I have left now is just to put in our text over here. So I'm going to grab this layer and this layer, grab these two layers here. These are both selected. If you want to, at this point, you may want to lock these layers together, or kind of link those together. I'm not going to worry about that, but that's just right here. You can link those together right there. That way they'll move together as one unit. I'm just going to pull over here to the side a little ways. Notice that it snaps to that middle position. Okay, I'll put it just over here somewhere, so it's about the same space, up top, bottom, left-hand side. Okay, back to our type tool. I'm leaving all the typeface the same up here, and let's change our point size here down to 69 points. There we go. And click down here someplace. Now I want to put this in blue, but I'll put the type in first. Put in ormid.com, and then select the dot and com right there. And let's change that size down to 24. There we go. And let's position this so it's about centered in here. Now if you look at that grid work, try to get it so that the M and the R letters are right between two grid lines. It'll look better that way if those are just right between a couple of grid lines. And then try to get the spacing in here the same as the spacing between the O and the R. So I'll just use the arrow keys, the cursor keys, and tap it over just a little bit. There we go, just about there's almost a perfect match. Okay, there is the name. So we got that formid.com. Let's now change the coloration of the letters. I'll grab my text tool again here, triple click, selects the whole thing. Let me show that again. 1, 2, 3, there it is. Selects the whole thing. Let's grab our colors up here. Now what I want is kind of a dark blue down in from here somewhere, right in the middle of that. The one I actually used I'll just type this one in as 003885. You can see it's right in the mid-range. It's in the blues, taken from the logo, and right in the mid-range on that. Again, 003885. Choose OK. And there we go. There's our nice little circular logo. Okay, so that's how to make a logo in Photoshop. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it useful. If you like this video, click on the like button below to let others know. You can click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. I'm frequently uploading new training videos. Don't forget to check out my website at howtogurus.com.